We are now going to examine the law of sines, which is used to find a missing side or angle in a non-right triangle. In a right triangle, we use Pythagorean theorem or a right triangle trig ratios. The law of sines says that the sine of an angle over the opposite side is equal to the sine of an angle over the opposite side, which is equal to the sine of the angle over the opposite side. So we have to know an angle measure and its opposite side for this to work. And then we'll substitute and solve from there. For all of these problems, we are not going to round our answers off until the end. So we're going to grind through the algebra and then type it into the calculator at the end. For our first example, we're given two angles, so we can find the last angle first. Since the sum of the angles in a triangle is 180, we do 180 minus 49 minus 54, and we get 77 degrees. Now to find either y or z, we are going to set up the ratio or the proportion with the sine of 49 degrees and 15 because it's an angle on the opposite side. And then we can do y first. So sine of 54 degrees over y. To solve a proportion, we cross multiply. So we have y times the sine of 49 equals 15 times the sine of 54. Then we'll divide by the sine of 49, and y is equal to 15 sine 54 divided by the sine of 49. That is what we're going to type into our calculators and get that y is 16.1. To find the other side, we're still going to use the ratio of the sine of 49 over 15, but this time to find z, we'll use the sine of 77 and that opposite side z. We'll cross multiply again and get z sine of 49 equals 15 sine of 77 degrees. Then z is 15 times the sine of 77 degrees divided by the sine of 49 degrees, which when we type into the calculator gives us 19.4. We can label those back on our original triangle. Y is 16.1 and z is 19.4. In our second example, we're given the 121 degree angle with the opposite side of 35, but we're missing the other two angles. So we can either find A or B first, but given that we don't know C, it'll be easier to find A. So the ratio that we'll set up is the sine of A over 21.4 equals the sine of 121 over 35. We'll cross multiply and have 35 sine A equals 21.4 sine of 121 degrees. We'll divide by 35 to get the sine of A by itself. But to get the angle out of the sine function, we'll have to do the inverse, as we have before, of all of this, the 21.4 sine of 121 degrees over 35. When we type that into our calculator, we get that A is equal to 31.6 degrees. To find B, we can say that B is equal to 180 degrees minus the 31.6 that we found, minus the 121 degrees that we were already given. So B is equal to 27.4 degrees. our last step is to find C. So we'll set up another proportion where we use the sine of 121 over, so we'll have the sine of 121 over 35 equals the sine of angle B, so the sine of 27.4 degrees over side C. We'll cross multiply. C times the sine of 121 equals 35 sine of 27.4 degrees. We're still not rounding. We'll divide by the sine of 121. And we'll get that C equals 18.79. We'll round it to the nearest tenth, so 18.8. Let me know if you have any questions.